You're listening to Hawk Talk with former Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Play fake, going to roll right, dumps it off into the right flat to Michael Bumpus, who bounces off of one tackler, gets inside the 40 down to the 35-yard line.
Powered by Seahawks.com.
Matt pump fakes, looking to the goal line. He throws it into the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks! It's Michael Bumpus with a diving catch in the end zone. A 10-yard touchdown reception for Bumpus, and the kid out of Washington State has found himself a place on this team.
Now, here's your host, Nasser Kyobe.
Welcome into another edition of Hawk Talk. The Seahawks fall at home to the Rams 26-20 in a heartbreaker. We're broadcasting live from the Seahawks podcast studio presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. Bump, holy smokes.
Oh man.
That was something.
It was. That was rough, man. It was a roller coaster of emotions throughout that whole game. Thankfully, I didn't have to watch the game from the press box. I was in a little booth that you and the Seahawks, me and Brian Walters up with, and we could show some emotion. And I'm glad because I needed to get that out.
Well, what I was excited about is, so I watched the game from the broadcast booth with Rabel and the guys, and typically where I stand during the game, if anytime they want to show Ryan Grubb, I'm like in the back shot of it, which is just tough for me because I'm in the broadcast booth. I can show emotions as well, but now I know it's there, so I'm like I can't. And then you forget. The nice thing this week, Fox had a nice tight shot on Grubb, so I was out of the picture.
Nice.
I could live my life.
Nice, good for you. I'm happy for you.
I was trying to bump, but we'll get right into it because what had happened, it was tough.
See, what had happened at first
What had happened was
On Hawk Talk.
Walking out of the booth at halftime bump, doing the halftime show on the radio, I was feeling pretty good.
Feeling dang good.
And if you would have told me at that moment that we'd be sitting here in this room together talking about a Seahawks loss, I would have called you crazy.
Yeah.
But I digress because that's exactly where we are.
And that's what we're doing.
And it was hard, man, because the Seahawks were the better team. They play better football. They let this one get away from them, unfortunately. And obviously, I think if you're in L.A. right now and you're JB Long and you're doing a Rams podcast, you would feel differently about the better team winning or not. But,
I hit up JB, too. I said, JB, man, that defensive line, he goes, yeah, making up for a lot of stuff that's wrong with this team. He was honest.
Yeah, and, so you can look at it from different perspectives. But from our perspective, I think the Seahawks definitely, this is a game they could have won, and it definitely really hurt. And when this game got started, there wasn't a lot of offense to get going. There was 8 punts in the first 9 possessions. And the one possession that didn't end in a punt, unfortunately, ended in an interception. Geno was trying to find JSN after JSN made a hell of a play the play before, breaking 3 tackles on a little screen. One he probably should have caught, but I think it's safe to say he made up for that one a little bit.
A little bit.
The Rams got on the board first, 11 play, 43-yard drive, ending with a Joshua Carty field goal. That made the score 3-0 Rams.
Yep, the Rams get up first, and then the Seahawks offense would really get going in the first half. Geno would cap a 9-play, 70-yard drive with a 30-yard touchdown to Tyler Lockett. Nice little fade. Caught him in the cover 2 look, boom, right in the honey hole. Jason Myers would miss the extra point, though, so that made the lead 6-3. On the ensuing drive, Reek Woolen shows up, intercepts Matthew Stafford on a pass intended for Puka Nacua, goes up and grabs that thing out the air. Then the usually level-headed Puka. He's an island guy, you know what I mean? Like, take everything easy. My man throws a punch and hits Tyrell Dawson and gets ejected from the game. Guys, kids, professionals, open your hand if you're going to do something like that. That just an open hand would have changed everything, but I'm glad it was closed because Puka got kicked out.
Yeah, that was one of the most shocking things that when the officials were meeting. You're like, what are they talking about for so long? And then they show someone. I was like, that can't be Puka.
Man,
no
Puka.
way. Any interview I've ever heard, anyone's talked to him, the most chill dude,
He's
the most
cool.
respectful dude.
Yep.
Hey, things got hot.
I want to talk to Dotson. What you say to him, dog? You just didn't block him. You said something to him.
Well, he got ejected for the game, and that was a huge loss for the Rams because we know how good he's been since he's made his return. The Seahawks would take advantage a little later. 3 plays, 60-yard drive, ending with a 24-yard touchdown to JSN. That made the score 13-3. On that drive, there was 4 plays, all intended to JSN. He drew a PI in the first one, 46-yard reception on the second one, incomplete, and reeled in a touchdown on the fourth. The Hawks would roll into halftime with a 10-point lead bump, but, man, that third quarter was not good for the Hawks.
Third quarter was all bad for the Hawks. The Rams marched right down the field out the tunnel saying, look, we fixed some things. They go 11 plays, 75 yards, ending with a 1-yard touchdown to DeMarcus Robinson, who's put together 2 really good weeks for the Rams, man. That made the score 13-10. The Hawks would punt on the next drive, and the Rams would put 3 more on the board after a 12-play drive. That tied it up at 13. The Seahawks suffered from some questionable calls on the drive, including a roughing the passer on D-Hall on third down. That was baloney, okay? It's Matthew Stafford selling it. I understand.
Oh, yes, that was
you got to
big
get
part
what you
of it.
can, I guess. Like, I respect the gamesmanship, but I also don't respect it because you know dang well that man had a legal play on you. That one made me frustrated.
Well, it influenced it because when you lay down there like you're dead, like it's a feel. And don't get me wrong, I feel for the officials and how hard this game is to officiate.
It's tough.
But that one just stuffed, man, because the Seahawks, every time there's a big penalty, I feel like it's always on third down, and it's always when they're getting off the field.
Man, get your butt off the dang turf, man. That's one to snatch him up there like your kid throwing a tantrum in the market. Man, get up off the dang floor, man. What you doing?
Brutal. Granted, the Seahawks defense did come through, get a stop on that, at least hold them out of the end zone. On following possession, the Seahawks would drive all the way down the field, but Geno was hit and intercepted in the end zone. Cameron Kitchens ran it back 103 yards for a touchdown. This is one of the biggest plays of the game. 14-point swing. You're thinking you're going to get 7. The offense is kind of getting back into rhythm. It gets run back for a touchdown. And this one's tough because Geno, we're going to talk about him specifically, but he had 3 interceptions. Again, it's another one of those games where they're not all on him.
Yep.
This one's tough. Maybe he could have thrown the ball away earlier. Either way, he's eventually trying to get rid of the ball. He gets hit, floats right to Kitchens, and he runs it back 103 yards for a touchdown. That's a huge, huge, huge play of the game.
Rookie making plays out there, Kitchens. Goodness gracious. After another Seahawks punt, the Hawks defense would step up again, getting a huge stop. Then Cody White would block a punt, setting up the Seahawks offense in great field position. I love when undrafteds do drafted things.
Yes.
I love to see 82 out there doing it. The Seahawks would not take advantage as Geno was picked off again by who? Kitchens after a mishold on A.J. Barner. It was definitely a hold. A.J. could not get his left arm up. The refs missed it. Like you said, it's hard to officiate this game. But sometimes you just got to look at the way the body is responding and say something is up. And then if you look at Fisk, who did the pulling, he put his hands up.
Yeah.
You know, dang well when somebody put their hands up,
guilty.
They did it. They were guilty, man. So that was a tough one.
That one really hurt, too, because here again, you have a play. Usually when you block a punt in a football game, make a play in special teams that impacts the game, you win the football game.
Yep.
Especially when you get the ball deep in that territory. The Seahawks just could not get it done. And it's been the Achilles heel right now. It's been before this week, it was run defense. For the last 2 weeks, it's been the red zone. The Seahawks could not convert. The next 3 possessions would end in punt, and the Seahawks would get the ball back down 7 with 1:54 in the game. So things have gone bad. Things have gone bad in the third quarter. The Seahawks only ran a couple of plays. It's as bad as can be. And for all the arrows that number 7 is taking today, he leads them down in a drive. He connects with JSN on a 4th and 5, season on the line. Earlier, he hooks up with Cody White, doing all he can, 29-yard game. Then the following play, he finds JSN for a 14-yard touchdown, which we'll talk about later, that tied the score up at 20. That game was done. He gets sacked on the first play of that drive, and it's, again, 2nd and 30, whatever it was. But the poise and the leadership of Geno Smith gets him back in the football game. Everyone continued to believe that tied the score over 20.
That tied it, and the Seahawks defense would force a punt, setting up overtime. The Hawks won the toss. They take the ball. They go all the way down to the Rams' 16-yard line, but the Hawks would get stopped on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, turning the football over. I've had many conversations today about what you should do in that situation. The analytics say, look, you're supposed to go for it. The reality says, look, maybe your offensive line isn't ready for this. Whatever the situation may be, I'm going with Mike McDonald and Grubb and what they feel is right in that situation. So I wasn't mad at the decision to go for it. But when you do roll the dice like that, there's only two outcomes. Either you look great or people are going to question you. Unfortunately, it was on the negative side of things.
Yeah, no, and I think the funny thing is it's such a doomed if you don't get it, you're wrong either way, right? Because everyone who's clamoring you to not go for it would have been upset if you kick the field goal and the Rams take the ball, go score a touchdown. And they'd be like, what are you doing?
Right.
You had an opportunity to win the game. So it's one of those things when it doesn't go your way, it looks bad. And it's an execution thing. Coach McDonald spoke about it today in his press conference. They were kind of figuring it out in the run game. So for as much struggles as they had early in the game offensively, especially up front, Ken Walker was starting to get 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a couple big pushes. They're down inside the 16. You think Bray talked about this last night too. Any offensive line at any level, especially National Football League, thinks they can get a yard.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they just didn't execute.
And the way
Rams
they're
made a
running
play.
it, too, there's a 6-yard gain that drive. There's an 8-yard gain that drive on the ground. So you feel like there's some rhythm going with the run game. Again, I do not question the call.
Rams get the ball. They're not going to look back. There was a big play in that drive. I think it was the first play. It looks like Reek Woolen's about to get an interception. He kind of jumps and kind of awkwardly times it. Of course, he doesn't have the field view. He's looking at the football. He doesn't see the Rams receiver running underneath it. He thinks it's going to be an easy interception. Unfortunately, he couldn't get that. He would have loved, I'm sure if you talk to him, that he would have loved to attack that ball because he knows about that like he did in the first interception. And unfortunately, he doesn't make that play. The Rams, there's a PI on him on that play, and then or the next play, and then a couple of plays later, Demarcus Robinson makes a 39-yard touchdown to seal the game. One-handed play. That's another one. Hell of a catch.
Hell of a catch.
And on that one, you just got to tip your cap. But at the end of the day, the Seahawks had way many more opportunities before it even came down to whether or not Tariq Woolen intercepted that ball in overtime. They just couldn't get it done. They didn't execute when they needed to, and it's a tough loss for them.
No, it's never one play. It's never one situation, multiple things. But the Rams, the Seahawks played good. They outgained the Rams 424 to 366. They outrushed them 107 to 68. But they lost the turnover battle. We all know how important that is. And we're 4 for 15 on third down. The last 2 games are 27% on third downs, man. You got to fix that.
Yeah, third downs will kill you. And the thing that's been frustrating, and I've been saying this since the clock struck triple zeros after the game, the Seahawks should have left yesterday with the story being about how good this defense looked.
Yeah.
Stopping the run. How good Jackson Smith and Jigba looked, we're about to talk about in a second. Record-breaking performance. And then how good guys like Cody White coming in there, stepping up and getting this thing done. So really frustrating, I'm sure, for everyone yesterday because we should be talking a completely different story. But unfortunately, the Hawks could not get it done. Heading into the bye week, 4-5. Here's the positive side. A lot of season left. It might look very gloom and doom when you lose 5 or 6 games, but the Seahawks are still right in it. The NFC West, no one's run away with it.
No.
If we were in the division with the Lions, I'd be concerned.
Be a little different.
Be a little concerned, but a lot of season left, a big week of preparation to see if we can get over this. But nonetheless, Seahawks fall to 4-5 and are in last place in the NFC West. But yesterday, there was a lot of plays made. Playmakers.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Playmakers.
Show them what time it is.
Holy catfish!
All right, first one, Geno Smith. He's going to catch a lot of heat. 3 turnovers, okay, but he was 21 of 34, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, and like I mentioned, 3 interceptions, a QB rating of 90.7. Geno is now tied with Matthew Hasselbeck for second place for the most 300-yard games in a single season in franchise history with 4. Geno had some mistakes, had some help with those mistakes, but also kept you in the game. No timeouts left, less than 2 minutes left on the clock. 4th and 5, converting to JSN, getting in the end zone. He even got Cody White involved in the game.
On the sideline?
Yeah.
Nice touch.
Nice touch over the top. I mean, Geno played a good game for the most part, but obviously you look at those 3 interceptions, and you have some concerns. Definitely needs to take care of the football, but you're not in this game without the performance of Geno Smith.
And the thing, I told you this last night, and I really wish, I want everyone, I'm going to look at the camera, I want everyone to really hear me when I say this. People need to be able to separate a bad play here and there from being a bad player.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. But a bad play does not make you a bad player.
Yeah.
That doesn't discount everything you've done. Sometimes your bad plays outweigh the good or vice versa, right? But there's got to be some kind of separation. He makes a bad play, and we're going to take away everything good he's done. And like you just said, in that game, after everything that happened, drives you down the field, gets you right where you need to be.
Yep.
It's just it's frustrating because I feel like for some people it's low-hanging fruit because they've made up their mind about what they think he is.
It's been done for some people.
And we've been fighting an uphill battle about this forever, so I'll probably fall on deaf ears here. I'm just saying, man, separate bad moments or bad plays from bad players. It's different.
Your daughter doesn't listen sometimes, right?
Right.
Still a good kid.
Absolutely.
Still
Thank
a good
you.
kid. Still a
Thank
good
you.
kid.
Spoken like a true parent, Bob. Then the other guy. So let's get into the receivers. JSN, 7 receptions, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, career high in receiving yards and touchdowns. And he did this having 78 yards taken off the board.
Brutal.
40-yard reception, a 38-yard reception. because of 2 holding penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bump, if you take those away, he would have had the second best game in the history of the Seahawks when it comes to receiving yards. He would have had 258. Steve Largent holds the record at 261. He got the Anson Lions back in 1987. But JSN, I'm just so pumped for him. He came out and he stepped up. There's been a lot of conversation about, well, he's a first round pick. We're not seeing the explosive plays. We're not seeing this. We saw him break some tackles. We saw him go over the top. We saw him make explosive plays and kind of show, no, I can be that guy and I can make those plays. So it was great to see him ball out.
He needed to see this. We needed to see this. The fans needed to see it because he's in the shadows of DK. This is DK's squad when it comes to throwing the football and receiving. He is the most explosive receiver on this team. He's still second in the league when it comes to 20-plus yard catches, even though he's been out 2 weeks. That's how good DK has been for this squad. So for a young man getting into his second year being the 20th pick, it's so validating for him to be like, look, yes, we lost. And he's going to feel a certain way about it because it came after a loss. But now he can turn on the film and remind himself, this is what I'm capable of, and hopefully the fans start to buy into that as well. Another receiver, Tyler Lockett, 3 receptions for 63 yards and 1 touchdown. This is what the old head does on the basketball court, right? You go to your local LA Fitness, and the old head is just conducting stuff. Hey, all right, young fella, get back on defense. And when you need a play, he's going to get you. That's what Tyler Lockett did. Everything's going crazy. You got all these punts. You said, well, the first 8 out of 9 possessions were nothing but punts. Tyler Lockett says, calm down. I got you. Let me put you on the board. It was good to see 16. And then you got another catch that was big for a first down as well. So Tyler Lockett, man, steady, number 16.
Old reliable. Always going to make plays. Love to see Tyler Lockett doing his thing. And then super excited for our guy, Cody White.
82.
2 receptions, 44 yards, blocks a punt, draws a pass interference in his Seahawks debut. And as a guy, you probably can speak this better than anyone. Being a guy on the practice squad, getting your opportunity and making plays in a game. I told you in the offseason, I've seen Cody White, and he's just a hell of an athlete. Back last year, they're having a little competition Wednesday, and I saw him dunk a basketball. I saw him do a 360 dunk, and I go, wow, that dude's an athlete. And we saw it a little bit during training camp, so it's not like we haven't seen it. So no one in the building is surprised, but it was really cool to see a guy who was just on the practice squad come in the game and make all those kind of plays.
I love it. I remember being having that call and going up to the office and talking to the OC, and they saying, you ready? You're going to play. And for him to step up the way that he has to be proud. Unfortunately, it's through a loss, but if he didn't make those 3 plays he made, even 4, because the pass interference was big, this team isn't even in position to make the play at the end of the game. So big ups to 82. Leonard Williams. This is what we were talking about when the defense had themselves a hell of a game, but unfortunately, no one's really going to remember it. It's because of guys like him. Leonard was in that backfield, 5 tackles, 2 QB hits, 1 tackles for loss. I'm still amazed that the Hawks recorded no sacks because it felt like they were always around Matthew Stafford. This one surprised me here. And then Ernest Jones, he's settling in. You know, he got his lazy boy in the living room with his remote now. He's getting comfortable here in Seattle, man. He had 9 tackles, 1 TFL, and 1 pass defended.
Yeah, love to see Ernest Jones. Man, I wish he would have got the interception.
Yeah, that one hurt.
But he gets to play LA again later this year, so you know that's a big game for him. Broadcasting live from the Seahawks podcast studio presented by Sony, the official headphones partner of the Seattle Seahawks. This NFL season, every play, every hit, every moment with the Sony 1000 XM5 noise-canceling headphones, the official headphones of the Seattle Seahawks. With premium noise cancellation, you're in the zone. No distractions, just pure football. Whether you're in your living room or on the go, you'll never miss a beat with Sony headphones. Bump, we alluded to it a little bit here. Take us to the receiver roundup. Who balled out?
Well, we know who really balled out. JSN, 7 for 180, 2 touchdowns, a long of 46. Tyler Lockett, 3 catches, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. Cody White, 82, 2 receptions, 44 yards. You got A.J. Barner, who had himself a good day as well, 4 for 27. Zach Charbonnet had 2 for 25. And then Ken Walker, 3 for 24. Together, 363 yards, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, Geno has another 300-yard passing game. Like, you look at those numbers and you're like, okay, that's winning football.
It's a good day.
Right? You look at receptions, targets, obviously JSN got some unlucky with some penalties, but, like, you take those out, too. We talked about JSN's record. Geno Smith probably has a record, too, in passing yards with those extra
easily over 400.
You know what I mean? So it's disappointing, but, it is what it is. Talking about those two, Geno Smith and Jackson Smith-Njigba, they hooked up for a huge play to keep the Seahawks' hopes alive, linking up for a 14-yard touchdown, tying the score at 20.
Walker back in the backfield on 1st and 10 at the Rams 14. Geno has time, throws to the end zone. Touchdown! Seahawks! It's Jackson Smith and Jigba. He jumped into the stands. He may never get out. The fans are going to take him home. What a game by JSN, and what a throw between two defenders. Geno Smith from 14 yards out, and the Hawks are a PAT away from tying this game at 20 with 51 seconds left.
This is a great understanding of how to move a defender. So Geno's in shotgun. He has a running back to the left of him. You got a tight bunch formation to the left. You motion Bobo from left to right. Bobo motions. Now he goes into the flat. There's a corner over there that Bobo's either going to get the ball or he's going to attract that corner, right? Because there's a safety over the top. Focus on JSN. JSN is the number 2 receiver inside of Bobo. On his release, he takes a slight inside release to move that DB inside and clear a nice little path. Gets to 10 yards, snaps it off. Now, great catch, but the throw is ridiculous. There are two DBs right there. Hits JSN right in the chest. He didn't even have to use his hands. He didn't have to use his hands. Right in the chest because he knows he's going to get hit. Boom, he gets hit. Big play, big catch. This is why I'll rock with Geno.
Yeah, it's those plays. He throws one of the best footballs in the NFL, the entire NFL. And what I love about both of these is back-to-back plays. The play before this was 4th and 5, and you throw that fade to JSN on the sideline, another perfect pass from Geno. You come back, very next play, they link up again. And shout out to Jackson Smith and Jigba for getting – because he got popped on both those plays.
Yes, he did.
And popped up. You wouldn't have known it. Was right in your face, jumped in the stand. So love to see the toughness out of him. And I'm hoping this is just the beginning. When JSN kind of had another 100-yard game against the Patriots, I think it was in week 2, we were really hoping, like, okay, now we're going. Now we're going to start seeing these all the time. And I'm just hoping this is going to be the genesis for that. I hope DK can come back because we need him to come back. But I'm hoping that confidence, like you alluded to there with him and DK coming back, what they can do with a healthy team going into San Francisco after the bye. But unfortunately, yesterday, the clock just ran out on the Seahawks.
A knee taken by Hundley. They're just going to let the clock wind down. Not even going to bother taking that last time out.
But Sunday was a game the Seahawks would love to have back. Because, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, they were the better team in that moment. They outgained them. They played better at times. But, again, it's hard for me to fully say that because when you need to make certain plays in the game, they didn't execute, and the Rams did.
They did some things that made it harder than it had to be, for sure. They got to fix some things up, so hopefully during the bye week they do exactly that. They won the time of possession too, but they turned the ball over 3 times, and Geno was sacked 7 times. Matthew Stafford was not sacked at all. But the best thing to come from Sunday was how the Seahawks defense played, man. Now it's about getting everybody to execute at the same time. Everyone at the same time, and we shall see. It's going to be tough against the Niners, but you got 2 weeks to prepare for these dudes, so let's see what game plan they come up with.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked completely different defensively. I mean, I think the Seahawks had about 7 3-and-outs, which is a ton against a team like the Rams, who we've lost to the Rams, obviously, in the last couple of years, but our loss to the Rams didn't look like yesterday.
Nah.
It looked more like, guys running wide open, confusion, all this kind of stuff. That wasn't the case yesterday. The Seahawks defense played a good game. There was a good game plan, and like you said, the Niners are going to be tough. Who knows if Christian McCaffrey will be playing that day or not. The one nice thing is the Seahawks will finally have a week off leading into that game. The Niners will play, I believe, the Bucs next weekend. So we'll see what happens there, man. But tough game, a lot of season left. With a 17-game season, it's hard to figure out what the halfway point is. This is essentially it in a way.
Yeah.
So a lot of ball left. I'm excited to see what the Seahawks can do with that.
All right, let's get it. Come on.
We're broadcasting live from the Seahawks podcast studio presented by Sony, the official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks do not get it done. Fall to the Rams 26-20. He's Michael Bumpus. I'm Nasser Kyobe. Remember, you can catch us everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SiriusXM, and on YouTube under the Seahawks Press Pass channel. So we'll be back with you after the bye, hopefully talking about, getting ready for the San Francisco 49ers, and then hopefully talking about a win. Like I said, he's Michael Bumpus. I'm Nasser Kyobe. This has been Hawk Talk.